NASA released a blue marble, the single snapshot of the Earth taken from outer space. And so much has changed in the decades between that first picture and the second. But one thing hasn't changed. Our planet is as beautiful as ever. It still looks blue. We're the first generation to feel the impact of climate change. We're the last generation that can do something about it. We only get one home. We only get one planet.
Today, President Obama announced the most far-reaching action on climate change that this country has ever seen. Called the Clean Power Plan, it sets a goal of cutting carbon pollution from power plants by 32% by the year 2030 as compared with 2005 levels. But the president warned that getting the plan past its critics is going to be tough.
Long before the details of this Clean Power Plan were even decided, the special interests and their allies in Congress were already mobilizing to oppose it with everything they've got. We've heard these same stale arguments before. Every time America's made progress, it's been despite these kinds of claims. Whenever America has set clear rules and smarter standards for our air, our water, our children's health, we get the same scary stories about killing jobs and businesses and freedom. It's true.
Joining me now is former Congressman Bob Inglis, a Republican who represented South Carolina's 4th District. He is now the Executive Director of the Energy and Enterprise Initiative at George Mason University. Bob, thanks for joining me.
Good to be with you, Alex. Thanks.
So before we get to the plan itself, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the argument or the idea that the president set forth, this notion of the blue marble, that we only get one home, we only get one planet, which I think, setting everything else aside, is a profoundly affecting argument or thing to remember, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican.
Yes, it is, this bit of Eden that's left, it's glorious, it reflects the beauties of the Creator, and surely we want to tend that garden.
Do you think that idea, the tending of the garden, has an effect on Republicans who may be resistant to the notion of doing something about a changing climate?
Well, I think the problem has been that we conservatives haven't seen a solution that we liked yet. We've heard about bigger government, or about regulations, about things that involve setting caps and then trading underneath that. All of that sounds very complicated and involves a growth of government. So what we've got to do, I believe, in order to get conservatives to step forward is to show some solutions that fit with conservative values.
So what would some of those solutions be?
It's mostly fixing the economics. You know, what we at republicen.org, that's republicen.org, believe is that this is a problem of economics that has an environmental consequence. So if you fix the economics, then Senator Cornyn, for example, is exactly correct. Jeb Bush is exactly correct, that innovation is what's going to take us out of this problem. But getting to that innovation means fixing the economics, making it so that the competing fuels can compete against the incumbent fuels. And that's a problem of economics.
But so is that a carbon tax? What is that?
Yes, and in my view, it would be a revenue-neutral, border-adjustable carbon tax. Revenue-neutral means no growth of government, that if we're going to tax CO2, you got to give me a corresponding dollar-for-dollar tax cut somewhere else on punishment of income. In other words, reduce that tax that punishes income, put the tax on emissions, dollar for dollar, no growth of government. So it's revenue-neutral. Also border-adjustable, making it so imports are subject to the same tax.
Well, but let me interrupt you for 1 second, Bob, because if we're talking about poison pills or language that is just a kryptonite, do you think this president would have more success saying the word tax, or Republicans, for that matter, would have more success pushing for a tax, no matter what it was, as opposed to regulation?
Well, I think President Obama would have more success if he said this: listen, we can give you the votes for a tax on carbon dioxide. Understand that you conservatives need to cut taxes somewhere else. So how about this deal? We'll give you the votes for pricing carbon dioxide, and you, Speaker Boehner, choose the corresponding tax cut. Now, that's risky for the president, but it's out-of-the-box thinking. The box we're in gives us a regulatory, clunky solution that's going to be litigated until the cows come home. And the result is going to be a domestic-only, clumsiest possible pricing of carbon dioxide. The alternative is more creative. It's to say, Speaker Boehner, we'll give the votes for pricing carbon dioxide. You choose the corresponding tax cuts so that both get what they need.
But Bob, let me just, again, to go back to where sort of we are practically. Well, there's clearly a difference of the minds as far as solution. You still have very powerful vocal elements in the Republican Party, like Ted Cruz, who refused to even acknowledge that this is a problem. He said over the weekend to scientists who have acknowledged climate change, they're cooking the books, they're actually the numbers. Enron used to do their books the same way, comparing climate scientists to the guys at Enron.
Yeah. Well, it's like this, Alex. If I told you, here's the plan of surgery for that back problem you're having. First, we're going to move your head. Once we get your head off, we're going to work on your spine and put your head back on. You'd say to me, thanks, Doc. I don't think I got a back problem anymore, right? Because the solution is anathema. And so what Senator Cruz is responding to, I think, is the solution that's proposed, which is something like cap and trade that involves a growth of government, an enormous complexity, a decimating of American manufacturing, that's just anathema. So of course it's like that back surgery plan. I say I don't have a problem anymore. So if we can show a solution that fits with conservative values, conservatives can enter this conversation.
Bob Inglis offering a decidedly more bullish assessment of how the Republican Party may come along on the issue of climate change. Thanks for your time.
Great to be with you.
Up next.